Today's voiceover talent is more than just a pretty voice. Today's voiceover talent has to be a boss, a VO boss. Set yourself up with business owner strategies and success with your host, Ann Ganguza, along with some of the strongest voices in our industry. Rock your business like a boss, a VO boss.
Welcome, everybody, to the VO Boss Podcast. I'm your host, Ann Ganguza, along with my lovely co-host, Gabby Nistico. Gabby, talk bossy to me, will you?
Hell yes. All day, all night, whatever you want.
I love it. So today we are going to talk about one of my favorite topics, my geek out topic of search engine optimization, SEO.
I feel like I'm going to have to leash you for this episode. Like we're going to have to keep you on the rails somehow. I don't know.
I get so excited about it. It's, I don't know, to me it's like it's such a cool thing to watch and see and evolve and work. And when it works, it's like so exciting. So
Well, then come on, baby, get it started. Talk bossy to me. Let's do this.
So search engine optimization, I think, is so important when it comes to having a business and being online in today's marketplace, because I think all of us have, at one point or the other, I do it multiple times a day. I Google all the time. I am searching for information. And that is really where it all starts. When I'm searching for a product, I'm typing my search phrases into Google, and then Google is giving me a response. And then I'm clicking on those responses to go and find that information that I had searched for. So it's a very simple concept, and it's one that I think that if you guys realize that not only are you a business, but you're a consumer too, and there will be people that will want to hire you or your voice or your business products, and will at some point be doing a search for perhaps commercial voice in a particular area. And so it's important that you have an idea of what search engine optimization is and what you can do to get yourself found easier from a standpoint of a business.
Well, let me ask you a question too, Ann, because I've always been curious about this, and I do defer to you on all things web. Do you believe that there is a difference between the SEO that you do for your the website that you run and maintain, your voiceover website? So for me, GabrielleNistico.com, and your overall SEO, just like your ability to be found in a Google search engine, like your name from external sources. Is that a thing? Like, am I seeing that the wrong way? What's your take on that?
I certainly think that it has to do with what words you have about you online that Google has in their index. Essentially, it's a very simple concept. Any words that you have on a website that you own are going to be indexed or crawled by Google. And those words, hopefully, if there are enough of them and are prevalent for your business, will show up with your business as a result. And so personally or business-wise, I think if you did a search for Ann Ganguza right now, just my name, because that is my personal brand, the first thing that should come up is your website, because we're all hoping that you are picking a website, AnnGanguza.com, and your name is prevalent in it.
Yep.
If you don't have a website, it may not be the first thing that shows up. Maybe the first thing that shows up is a social media profile, because that's kind of the way Google preferences things, is your individual website. All of your social media profiles will show up as well if you do a search for that. And so that can be personal, and it can also be business related. So any websites, any social media profiles, any articles that might have your name in it will show up. And so I'm always recommending to people that they do a Google search on themselves. They Google themselves once a week, at least, so you can see what type of information is out there on your name and on your brand.
Just sounds so dirty to Google yourself. Go Google yourself, would you?
Yeah, it's something that you have to know how people outside of yourself are perceiving your search terms in your business, right? So personal business, I'm always that person that if it's on the web, it's my business. It's my business. It's very
Right.
rarely is it. If it's personal, it's okay for other people to see it, and it's okay for my business brand. That's a
Yeah, but
hard rule.
you're not one who just like randomly posts, pictures of your lunch. I mean, that's not
Right.
happening.
Well,
Unless
Jerry,
made something
yeah.
absolutely fabulous. Then maybe. Then maybe. Okay, so kind of, demystifying a little bit of the SEO process for people who are unfamiliar or still kind of confused by it. My understanding, and this is mainly just reiterating, I think exactly what you just said, is understanding the prioritization of how you're found. So number one is your own web address, which is super critical. The URL of your website is directly related to your findability on the web at large, whether it be Google or another search engine. And it's because the hope is, of course, if your searchable phrase is in the URL's name, makes it faster and easier.
And in the website too,
Right.
for sure.
And then you have things like larger entities, larger websites that have lots of links and clickbacks and just very, very active websites, things like Facebook, YouTube, even some of the pay-to-play websites, just because of how many keywords show up on them that may outweigh or outrank your own site simply because of, again, the sheer volume of activity that's on those websites. And then there's probably everything else. So one of the things that I always find amazing that people don't really, I guess, fully understand about SEO is how content is king. And content, meaning text, is really the number one way in which you're found.
Well, absolutely.
Can you kind of extrapolate upon this?
Well, Google has these bots or these spiders that run around and crawl websites. And basically what they do is they extract all of the things from a website that they can, which would be words, that are indexable, right? And that can be searchable. Now, graphics and other things like audio files and those types of things are not necessarily searchable by word terms. So those are the things that will not get put into the Google index. So it's always important, I'm telling people, to make sure that you have text on your website that describes who you are and what your business is and what services you offer, because that's what people are going to be searching for.
Yeah.
And for those people that think their site needs to be clean and pretty and just an image with maybe their demos, I say, good God, please just write some text, because there's no way that you are going to be found on Google if you have an image and a couple of words, and those couple of words don't even have the word voiceover in them. So that right now, all of us, we are in the voiceover industry. We have voiceover businesses. Now, I like you to make it more unique than just being a voiceover talent, because in that respect, if you just put voiceover talent, you're going to be outranked by Voices and Voice 123 and all the pay-to-play websites, which have thousands of profiles that have that word in them. So that's going to outrank you.
You'll even be outranked by some talent agents' websites in that
absolutely.
case. Yeah, anyone with more of the usage of those words.
Yeah, because everybody that has a profile has the word voiceover in it. And so
Right.
they are going to be more relevant. And I always want to remind you that Google is trying to be a great search engine. First and foremost, and the only people that know about the SEO algorithm are the people that work at Google, right? And they're probably sworn to, they probably have a signed NDA and all that sort of thing, where that algorithm can change. And so if anybody out there professes to be an SEO expert that promises you to get your page up, on the first ranking, please just run far, far away and go back to what I like to call organic SEO, and that is just writing good content. Write good content. A lot of times when I'm searching for a business, I need to know, okay, what is it that I'm looking for? I'm looking for a business that offers this, and then I also need it to be this and that. And so what is it that you offer? Make sure that you write that in your about or services or front page. And that way, people, when they search for that particular service, will hopefully find your page and, close to the top.
Yeah, totally in agreement there. Anybody who's trying to sell you an SEO package or promising to get you to the top of Google, understand that they might. They may very well succeed, but it's incredibly short-lived. And you might find yourself at the top of the Google search thread for a day, 2 days, a week at most, and then you're bumped again. And that's pretty common. So the organic methods that Anne's talking about are way more effective in the long run because your web presence, it's just that. It's a marathon, not a race.
No substitute for good content, Gabby.
Right. And then with regard to content, what you were saying earlier about the folks who try to be very minimalist with their website, very clean, very modern. Yeah, which I totally dig and I get. But here's what
it looks
I think,
pretty.
Well, sure it does.
But it's not going to get found.
Beautiful.
Nobody's going to see it. It's going to be so beautiful, but nobody will find it.
Right. But there's techniques there. There's ways around that. Mm-hmm. I have, as I'm sure you do, on my various websites, I have lots and lots of pages that are part of my site that don't link. They don't link back to the nav. They don't link back to, they're not easily found if you go to my homepage is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. And doing that helps your SEO tremendously. It helps your site as a whole to be found. It helps that page. And then people click, off of that page and onto somewhere else like your demo page or whatever's important. But that content, it really is critical. This is the number one reason why more and more voice actors now have blogs, because blogs allow you to have current, relevant content that you're hopefully, in theory, updating regularly.
Exactly.
So let's talk about that aspect of SEO real quick, which is updating. How important is that? How important is it, and how often do you need to update your site to keep it relevant?
Well, I don't have a blog on Anne Ganguza. I know that there are many, many benefits to having a blog. And even on VO Peeps, believe it or not, I don't actually blog too much. I do create posts about events that happen. Sure. The one thing, though, that I have going for me in terms of keeping it relevant and fresh is that I have a lot of text. I have a lot of text on multiple pages, and that helps me. And there is no doubt in my mind that if I did have a blog and I updated my information frequently, it might perform better. But right now, I'm quite happy with the way my websites are performing due to the fact that I have multiple pages with a lot of searchable text. And that, for me, is okay. For somebody else that may not have a lot of information or textual information, a blog can certainly help. And I like to think that first of all, I want you to keep in mind that it should only be done as many times as you can do a quality job. So if you can only update your blog, it's better to update your blog once a month than try to do it every day or once a week if you can't ultimately keep up with it. Because for a potential client to go to your website and the last blog article was like 2011, that doesn't really say so much about your brand. I think that you have to be current and relevant, just like anything that you search for in Google, right? Any profile that shows up has to be current.
But that can also hurt your SEO because one of the things that Google looks at is years.
Current. Mm-hmm.
And so if things are outdated and not being bumped by newer, more relevant content, I always tell people your website is kind of in danger of atrophying.
Yes.
If you're not somewhat active in it. Now, the average voice actor, you don't need to be in there every day, not every week, but every month, every couple of months, make some tweaks, add some content. Little changes can go a long way. If you have a website that you've been sitting on for years.
I'm adding testimonials. That actually is a great way to keep it fresh. I mean, every time I'm a testimonial, obsessed person. And so anytime somebody writes a testimonial, I put it on the testimonial page, whether it gets seen or not.
Sure. I mean, but even just updating your clients.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything that you do to keep that site from just sitting there and doing nothing. When sites do nothing, they really do. They're like a muscle. They atrophy, they go dead. And Google simply isn't recognizing them anymore. So that's where, frequently people come to Anne and go, hey, I've got this amazing website, but nothing's happening.
Well, it's absolutely one of the reasons, even on the VO Boss website, that we add a blog for every podcast. And we're doing that because we're talking about voiceover related topics, and we want to obviously grow our listenership. And so putting a blog post up for every podcast episode, it does require effort on our part. But it does reap its rewards in terms of SEO.
What are your feelings on analytics? And for our listeners who maybe don't understand it or don't know much about it, is there a way to navigate analytics so it's not overwhelming?
Google Analytics,
Yeah.
which can be overwhelming, but on a very general overall scope, they can be super helpful because they can show people. First of all, they should be installed by whoever is designing your web presence. I think that it should be submitted to Google. Google Analytics should be set up for your website. And if nothing else, you can get an idea, a sense of what pages are the most popular and who's visiting your pages most frequently. Let's say you added more to your bio. That's a huge thing that I tell my students. Add more text to your bio, please. Because number one, I need to know about, when I'm researching a business, I need to know what it's all about. And the more text you have about your biography, about you, I think the better off that you're going to be overall in terms of your business and in terms of getting found. And so keep adding text to that. It's one way to see if that was an effective thing, is to go into Google Analytics after you've changed your bio or your about page or maybe your demos page, and then see if there are more people that happen to visit it. And there's lots and lots and lots of stuff you can get out of the Google Analytics. You actually need a whole course on Google Analytics, but for the very basic part, it's a wonderful way to look and track progress on changes that you're making on your website.
Yes, I don't want to scare people. What you just said is scary. you in theory, you need a course in analytics because it is so complex. It is so intricate, and this is stuff that web designers and developers spend years mastering and learning about. But for your own interests, for being able to track and manage your website, I don't think people necessarily need to take a course in it. I think they need to
not for the
hone
overall.
in.
Not
they
for
just
overall.
they just need to hone in on the data that can really help them to make a better user experience.
Yes.
So real quick, any other SEO tips, any other things that you think are essential for this first SEO podcast?
Location is so important. That's going to be my golden nugget of the day. Most people think that, I live in, Wichita, Kansas, and so it's not important that I put my location. And as a matter of fact, I may not want to put my location because I am, a global business. But here's the deal. Google already has location services usually turned on. And so if you go search for a restaurant, typically Google's going to return searches for you of restaurants that are local. Same thing for anybody that's doing a search. So if you actually want to be known, like I'm known as a Orange County talent and an LA area based talent. So if anybody's searching for LA, commercial voiceover, because I have the location in my text, right, it is going to show up. And believe it or not, I get so many people that are not even aware that they need that I don't need to be in the area. Like I have a lot of local businesses that contact me because they think that I need to either go to a local studio or come to them to do the job. And so just by sheer, lack of knowledge, people just call me first, and I get that first opportunity to get the job versus somebody that might be, in New York State. I will get the first opportunity because I show up first on the search engine, and they say, I don't know if you have to come in or you have to go, we got a studio here in, Southern California, and I'll be like, no, I can also record it at my studio at home. So put your local area or your general vicinity. As long as, I don't think there's anyone that would be hurt by that, to be honest with you. I mean, if you live in Kansas, you're not going to try to say you live in LA.
No, but you can tag nearby. Like,
yes.
I know you can tag LA because it's
yes.
reasonable to
nearby
you, except
cities.
Traffic. But I do the same thing with Atlanta. And I get, actually, in a given calendar year, I get tons of work.
Yeah,
from
me too.
people who are around Georgia because it's tagged on my site.
Yep.
So yeah.
Exactly. Put your location, even if it's on the footer. You know what I mean? If
Yeah.
it's like,
Yep.
copyright 2017, Atlanta, whatever, or something like that. Even if it's in the footer, and an address in your footer, Atlanta, Georgia, or something.
I think footers are actually one of the really essential SEO
agree.
tools that more people don't take advantage of.
Yeah, contact information, locale. Yep.
They don't really do a good enough job. I see some websites, even a lot of voiceover websites, that don't even have footers, and I'm
Yeah.
always like, whoa, guys,
footers are
missing
great.
out. Yeah.
Footers are great. I'd like to put contact information. I put all sorts of fun stuff in my footer.
We have a little
So,
footer fetish.
We got a
That's
footer
what's going on. Yeah,
footer
fetish.
Yeah, so I could talk SEO all day. And I really think, you guys, it's something to really sit down. And as we mentioned early on in the podcast, content is king, really. Come up with good content, write good content, and you will not regret it. It will help you in multiple areas. It will definitely help you in SEO.
Send us your SEO questions, guys. Send us your techie questions. Send us your business questions. This is all the stuff we want to hear from you on. We
Yeah.
want to interact with you. We want to know where you're struggling. We want to know where you're succeeding. So just give us a shout. You can send emails to Gabby at voboss.com or Ann at voboss.com.
So I'd like to give a big shout out to our sponsor, IPDTL. Always a lovely, wonderful connection with IPDTL. I can't say enough good things about that. So you guys can also record like a boss using IPDTL technology, and you can find out more at ipdtl.com.
And for more on us, remember, loads of places you can subscribe. And please go subscribe. And also remember to like us. Facebook,
Yes, please.
Twitter, Instagram,
And share.
YouTube. Yeah, we're
And
all
share
over
with your
the
friends.
place. And of course, iTunes, Stitcher, all the ways you can access the podcast, and more information about VO Boss if you just haven't had enough boss fix yet.
That's right.
Because there's never too much boss fix. I know how that goes. voboss.com is where you're going to find exclusives and all kinds of great ways that you guys can work with us.
And some wonderful new Boss University classes and products that are there. So you guys talk boss to us.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Join us next week for another edition of VO Boss with your hosts, Ann Ganguza and Gabby Nisterko. All rights reserved. Ann Ganguza voice talent in association with 3 Moon Media. Redistribution with permission. Coast to coast connectivity via IPDTL.